Good night. It's the 3rd of January. It's about 9 o'clock at night, 3rd of January. It's very, very cold out tonight here in Ireland. Although it's only but -3 or around that, -2 centigrade, -3 centigrade, roughly that. There's a frost on the road. You have to be careful. Ice, water's freezing. The lakes are not frozen yet, but if you left water out in a vessel, it would freeze tonight. But it's cold to feel, and it goes into you. We have a damp kind of coldness in Ireland, and it's on the go here tonight. Now, I do deal with the world situation because it is relevant to us. We're living in the last 17 of the most dangerous days that the world has seen since 1963, since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's no joke. Hopefully we will come through it all right. Now, one of the things you notice about my videos is that I'm giving out about these woke lefty crowd that are represented by the Irish government almost in total, that the Irish people voted for almost in total. They're mad for them in Ireland. And we also have a situation where, although he didn't get a majority, communist Keir Starmer is in power in Britain, and there's holy hell. He's destroying Britain. He's trying to cancel elections, and he wants to be the king of Britain forevermore. And that's what he wants. And we see that the freak show, which is in Europe with Ursula von der Leyen, a freak show is the best way to describe her. They're after removing some of the entitlements, financial entitlements that Hungary has, and they're giving out about other states as well, Slovakia, over this gas thing, the gas problem. Now, the gas problem is that Ukraine has decided to cut the gas flowing through the Ukraine, and this has left a serious problem for Slovakia and for Hungary and for other countries there, and also the Moldova, which is a country in the south. It's further south west. Moldova, you'll get it on the map there. It has a small Russian enclave in there, and now it's cut off from gas as well. So when Russia was supplying gas to Eastern Europe, it was also by the same pipeline supplying Moldova, and Moldova is going to be in a very bad way generally, but it was supplying this enclave of Russia that is in Moldova. Moldova has a checkpoint border situation there for historical reasons. Now, I have to look into this side of the camera here because this is where the thing is. By the way, my thumb is coming on okay, but it's sore just there. It's sore just there. Excuse me, please. Now, over in the United States, our enemies, the deep state Democratic Party, is this massive woke idea, and a lot of people, several million, nearly 80 million people about that voted for Biden, for Kamala Harris, who, if she had to get in, would leave the world with no hope. If she had to get elected president, we would be looking at a situation such as Europe looked at when Hitler was going about in 1938. That is the grim reality. The only thing is that because she would be running America, there would be no one to fight them. There would be no one to fight the enemy, because the enemy would be in power in America as well as in Europe. A deluded crowd of evil villains. In any event, the Biden administration, Biden himself, at the end of 2022, he received a call from Russia, and he was holidaying in Delaware, as Delaware residence, and he took the call and he had a conversation with Putin. I heard this last night from a very senior commentator, I believe it's true. He had a conversation with Putin in which he kind of saw some of the wisdom of what Putin was telling him, and he sort of agreed to try and have a look at some way of settling the war over there. But anyway, a few days later, the real government come to the fore, and that's Antony Blinken and Jake Sullivan, who are the main advisors to Biden, and they told the Russian Lavrov, the Russian minister, that what Biden said did not carry any weight, that what he had agreed to would not be enforced. So he only agreed on the phone, and it would have been to do it later on, to get it going later on. But when they heard what Biden had told them, they countermanded it. So clearly, it's Anthony Blinken and Jake O'Sullivan who are the actual presidents of America. And don't you know, Barack Obama and his partner Big Mick Obama are there as well, and several other people who are of very evil intent. Now, they would be loved in Ireland by RTE and the Irish government, but in any event, the Biden administration, if we could call it generally the Biden administration, it has a big thing about Ukraine. When Trump won the election, he went into Biden, and Biden promised he would have a smooth transition. He probably didn't have much choice, in all fairness, to power. He probably couldn't do anything, only tell Trump he'd give him a smooth transition of power. On January the 20th, I think it is. That's only 17 days away. But the second words he said was, "Do not abandon the Ukraine." Now, the fact of the matter is that the war in the Ukraine is lost for over the invasion was February 2022, and that will be 3 years this February. I predicted it'll go on for 2. It'll go on for 2.5. Nearly 2 3/4. I was slightly out there, but I wasn't doing too bad. But in any event, it's lost. It can't be won except by the use of nuclear weapons. The danger is, folks, that new tactical nuclear weapons will be used by the United States and by the NATO organization before Trump takes power. We have to watch for that, and watch every day, and hope that every day goes by without something like that happening. Now, everything's going wrong for them because the gas situation is going wrong. That's Zelensky that has made that worse. It's somebody with the backing, and the full backing, if not doing it themselves, of America, that cut the Nord Stream pipeline, cut away the gas, and America's just using von der Leyen as an idiot. They're just ripping the whole heart out of Europe. They want Europe to buy all their fuel from America at 3 and 4 times the price, and they want to isolate Russia, when in fact Russia is a part of Europe. Russia is a part of Eastern Europe. So that's what's happening anyway. But the Biden administration took this whole Ukraine thing to its heart. It was like an instance I once knew, where a man was shown unbelievable loyalty to a lady, a younger lady in a financial institution, who was giving out loans and all that. And it turned out that I suspected that the man was her father, that he was actually her biological father, and nobody knew it. Nobody could understand why he was giving out her big loans and everything that she could never pay back. So I think it's a bit like that. They see the Ukraine as their child. Now, don't forget, the Bidens, Hunter and the father, were stuck into Ukraine doing deals on oil and gas and resources, and they were the forerunner for what was to be a plundering of Ukraine by BlackRock, Vanguard and other American financial institutions, and maybe a little bit of the City of London as well. They thought Ukraine was ripe for the picking. It had great land and it had great resources, and they were going to clean it all up. They were going to install NATO there to make sure that it was secure, and they were going to move from there to destabilize Putin. Their object was to put Putin out, because Putin represented a stalwart. He was a bit of a strong man. Russia lost, is it 20 million people? 20 more in the last World War. They fought Hitler. They did a good job of beating him down. Who's to say who did the best job? But certainly Russia did help to put Hitler's lights out. But they don't want that. It's a major threat to them. They see Russia threat number 1 and China threat number 2. So the Biden administration had a real soft spot for the Zelensky regime, and many people, including myself, have pointed out that Zelensky, even before the invasion, was corrupt as anything. Ukraine was one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Now, why is that? What was to stop any government in Ukraine of being fairly decent and trying to be fairly decent? Don't forget, they supervised the killing of hundreds of Russians in Odessa, where they burnt them alive. And no talk about that at all. They want the history books to start on the 24th of February 2022, when in fact it goes back a long, long time. So that's the situation. Now they're facing the situation between Europe, but mainly America, because in many ways Europe doesn't count. Europe always did what America told it and will do it now as well, because they have nothing to fight with. They have nothing going for them in that. But the Biden administration, the people there behind this, are facing the situation that they thought they were going to hold on to Ukraine, and now it looks like it's lost. And now the people of the United States have voted for Donald Trump and given him a good majority, and he will not go along with this. He doesn't see the pulling of the resources out of Ukraine as any good. He believes the way is to build up America. America can be strong, and America can make America great again. Whether he will or not, I'm not particularly saying. But in the Russian dealings with America in the last 4 years, there was nobody that could ring up. They couldn't ring Biden and talk to him, because even if he did agree to something, he wasn't the government at all. And that's what that phone call proves. He wasn't the government at all. So no matter where you feel on Trump, even you're against him, at least he's compos mentis. He knows who he is. He knows what he's talking about, what day of the week it is. And while the deep state in America are going to fight him hard, he'll know he's fighting them. And he'll be aware he's fighting them. So there'll be a battle about the real issues. And so if Putin or Chairman Xi, or whatever you call it, President Xi of China, or anyone else, even the Indian Prime Minister, rings Trump and make a deal, he'll remember it. He'll be able to hold on to it. He knows all about deals. That's totally absent in the present American government with Biden. Biden doesn't know what he's doing half the time. He's, as we used to say long ago, he's half doting, he's raving. He's most of the time on holidays. He's away past the age that he should be president, although Trump's nearly as old, but Trump is more resilient. Trump is still all right up here. The other fellow's half away with the fairies most of the time, stuttering and blethering around the place. But he's not his own boss anyway. So if you made a deal with Biden, and when he'd come back, when you'd come back, you'd find that there was somebody else would change it or was calling the shots. It's a bit like if there was an old man around a farm and you went in and you made some agreement with him, but you discover that he has long since handed the whole place over to his children and his sons, and he's not really the boss at all. So that's the situation you have there. It's a dangerous situation, but mentally, for the finance houses of America to accept that they're not getting Ukraine, that they're not getting NATO in there, that they're not going to surround Russia with NATO, is unbelievably difficult for them. Now, you saw there was a sort of another move in Georgia, in South Russia. They tried a colour revolution there. This is what they do. They put a colour on it, yellow or red or purple. Revolution. The Ukraine was a purple revolution. They put colours on it. You see the connection between the colours they have. Now it's LGBTQ up on poles and all that. See this connection with colours and rainbow flags and all of this. This is their mentality. But they have ground to a halt. They have lost. And they have to accept in these days they've lost. So as you go about your ordinary everyday work tomorrow and the next day, you understand, please, that there's people there who are grieving what they've lost, the billions they've lost, because the American financial system continually needs to be making new ground, to be proving their balance sheets, to be paying their shareholders. And it's not going to happen. What the effects of that could be, I don't know. But if they had to grab Ukraine and take its resources and steal all those in it, it might stave off another economic recession, because they'd be in a position to bail out other banks and prop up banks with all this newfound wealth. So it was a bit like the conquering of America in reverse. I mean, America was once a wilderness with no white men there at all. And before a few hundred years, it was bailing out Europe. That's a bit like the other way around now with the Ukraine. And so there's the situation with them. The only thing I would comment on that is, and this is the view of many observers, the only thing I would comment on that is the fact that Biden got something or Harris, the Democrats, Biden won the election crookedly by deceit and by fraud in 2020, but he still got, his agent, Kamala Harris, did pretty good the last time. The fact that those dopes are there in America, and anyone that voted for Kamala Harris, if they're in America, if you voted for them, you're a dope. Whether you're Irish or not, you're still a dope. So the thing about it is that, as they say, I saw an ad the other day, essentially saying Biden is not as big an is not as stupid as the people who voted for him. They're the ones that put him there. So if you did that and you voted for them, well, then you are a dope. But there's no reason to believe that even if Trump helps to fix up America, gets it half gone, does a good job in it, gets it back to work and things like that, there's no reason to believe that this climate or whatever won't spring up again. If the next candidate on the Democratic side, let's say it's Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz or some of them, if they don't police the election and have solicitors and lawyers in every polling station, they'll rig the election again. They'll do it again. The reason Trump won this time is that the Republican Party had their agents and spent a lot of money everywhere watching them. The women at the count centres wanted to call off for the night and come back in the morning, and they said, no, you can go home, the count has to continue. So they didn't let them away with it. I was talking to an American the other day who's home on holidays, and he told me in one particular polling station, they backed up a van full of ballot papers, and there was cameras they had cameras on the count centres. All the doors to the count centres had cameras. You know, these things here, these cameras you get on a house, they had these everywhere. And when they saw the cameras and they saw the people around, they humped off. The van, they never opened the doors of the vans or anything else. Big, like the types you see with the courier firms. So they were going to rig it again in the key states if they had to get their way. And you see, the thing is, it's easier doing it in America to protect that because there's only a certain number of swing states. I mean, nobody's going to bother doing it in Montana because the Republicans win by too high a margin, and in California the Democrats win it anyway. So this is a situation that need to be watched all the time. But this is what's happening anyway. These creeps, and they're a freak show. Biden's a freak show, and Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and all the rest they're a freak show, and they are going to try and. I mean, they have to come to cope mentally with Trump taking power, but they have to try and stop him as well. Now, I'd have the same opinion if it was Ted Cruz was the president, or if it were Marco Rubio, or any half decent person who wouldn't be as big as would be able to ring up and take a call and remember it. Now the problem is in the military in America. There's a whole lot of retired military people there, and they're calling the shots, and they're going to have to be rooted out by Trump. So he's going to have to be a tough guy. So I hope that's giving you a good idea of what I perceive the position to be. You can't tell these idiots that this renewable energy is a scam. They won't listen to you. You can't tell them that you can't be putting drag queens as military officers in the military and Navy officers. It doesn't work. They won't fight a war for you. You can't tell them that you can't do without fossil fuel yet. They won't listen to you. You can't tell them not to be destroying Ireland with their old stupid solar and wind farms, and that their electric cars won't work. They won't listen to you. You can't tell them that Putin is stronger than them. They won't listen to you. You can't tell them that Russia's winning the war. They can't accept it. They love little Zelensky. You can't tell them he's going to be beaten and that they're going to be put out of Ukraine, or that at the even worse again, they're going to have to pay for the reconstruction of the rump state of Ukraine that's left. They won't listen to you. And so they have 17 days to mentally adjust to this or do something about it. I don't know which they will do. But everything's going wrong for them. And this is what happens when you are wrong. When you pick the wrong course, or you build a house without a proper foundation, you needn't be wondering what happens, that there aren't cracks in the wall when it's up and done. That's the situation with the freak show of the Biden administration, the freak show of the would-be Harris administration, Kamala Harris, the freak show of the Irish government. We still don't have a government in Ireland. with their teachers in jail, and their freak show of Starmer in England, in Britain, the freak show of Ursula von der Leyen with her garden, not a jungle. She wants Europe to be a garden. Oh, she's a little dainty woman. Oh, I love little flowers. I want everything properly up in a row. Now, some of the MEPs and some of the people, the governments of Europe, is realising that one should never have been given another term as the chairman, head of the Commission in Europe. There she is, another freak show. And the like of Viktor Orban, a sound man, and that Fica is the president of Slovakia. They're coming down on them, and they'll penalise anyone who just dares to speak out against them. They'll be very soon left in Europe with Trump running the show, and I think their whole economy will collapse. And what I want to see is the end of the European Union for good. I want it out of the way and gone. But that might be too much to expect, but it's going that way. A freak show cannot last in the real world, and that is what this is. Comment underneath. We'll see you back. Thank you very much. Goodbye.